God is not complicated, where we as human beings are so complicated and we make things like, oh, the more complicated it is, it must be better, which is true for a watch. They're so complicated that if it's not done perfectly, it's not going to work right. So we think of complexity as good and simplicity as bad. But when it comes to the things of the Spirit and when it comes to the things of God, God is very simple. Male, female, there's only two choices. There's not 1,000 to complicate matters. That's why we struggle to just say, no, it couldn't possibly be that easy. But it is that easy. You're forgiven and you're loved. And when you start with that foundation, you can start to build upon your identity of who you are as a person. As soon as a simple thing will come in, that seed will come in and say, okay, I'm forgiven and loved. Boom, fresh start right here today. Boom, let's go. But then a voice comes in and says, nah, you're really not. That sounds great. That works for other people. It's not going to work for you because your situation is different. And start to think on what is it about me that makes me different? And then we go into that whole identity crisis of like, who am I as a person? I must be different because I'm struggling and suffering in ways that other people aren't. No, you haven't suffered any differently than any other person has suffered. If you think about like a game, a video game, like RPGs, you have like common loot, rare loot, legendary loot. Very few people have a legendary suffering. We all have very common sufferings, and yet we identify them and make them our own and struggle with that overthinking process. And we get stuck in our successful path because we're making it a bigger deal than it really is. The truth is, it's easy. It's forgiven. Boom. What's next? Let's go.